So I'm back, and this is 11 days post-surgery. Now, just a couple of things. I'm sitting over to one side of the screen because I'm going to show quite a few photos over this side, so I need to leave room for that. Secondly, I know I sound really nasally, and it's because my left nostril is totally blocked. My right one's okay. I can breathe through that one, thankfully. But there's a lot of swelling across the bridge of my nose here and down the sides. And yeah, it's sort of putting pressure on my nose, so I sound a bit weird. No, actually there was a third thing. I've got total brain fog, honestly. There's a lot that I wanted to sort of cover in this to give a lot of sort of details, just in case it's useful to anybody else. I mean, not that I'd recommend rhinoplasty unless you had a serious problem with your nose like I did, but if you do have a serious problem and you're wondering what the recovery is like after major surgery, then I don't know, this might help somebody. So I've typed it all up on my trusty tablet, so do excuse me if I more or less read most of this out, but I can't remember it all. Right, goodness, I have missed doing this. Oh dear, and also I need to keep catching the drips from my nose. So, the rhinoplasty that I had done, okay, so a standard rhinoplasty takes between 1 to 3 hours, but because mine involved an allograft, which is basically grafting cartilage on where needed inside the nose, and basically a total rebuild of the nose, the surgery took just over 5.5 hours and was performed under a general anaesthetic. So my initial thoughts that the swelling will be greatly reduced after 2 to 3 weeks, apparently according to Dr. Shahidi, was a bit optimistic. Now, prior to this, I'd had another rhinoplasty in 2016 because I couldn't breathe through my nose, which was the result of a broken nose. My nose got broken in an accident. And that was fine until a couple of years ago, and I started to develop a bone callus on one side of my nose. And I put a photo just here, so hopefully you'll see what I mean. And what it was doing, it was actually causing my nose to bend, which was, you know, sort of deviating the septum on both sides, and you know, to the point where I could hardly breathe again. And it was also putting stress on the bone just here, which caused it to flatten. And I think you can see that in this photo just here. There's a sort of a flat part sort of in the middle of my nose here. And you can also see how bent it was. And now, my surgeon took this photo, not the most flattering, I have to say, but, you know, I'm over that. And I think this really does show you the problem that I had with my nose and how large the bone callus was and what it was doing to me. And, yeah, I mean, this was a necessary operation, do you know what I mean? It wasn't just purely a cosmetic thing. But I mean, seeing as you're having it done anyway, I mean, you might as well end up with a nose that you like. And as I said before, I've always thought Catherine, Princess of Wales's nose was fabulous, so I asked my surgeon for one of those. And he said, I won't be able to give you quite the scoop that Kate has because of the problem with the, you know, flattening of the bone here. He said, but I'd like to adjust the tip a little bit. He wasn't quite keen on the tip of Kate's nose. I personally didn't see any problem with it at all, but, you know, I mean, he knows what it's doing. Sorry, he knows what he's doing. So, you know, I thought, well, I'll leave him to it. So the day after my surgery, when I got home, wasn't too bad and I slept a lot. But the second day, the bruising and the swelling was pretty painful, and this is what it looked like here. And I do find it incredible, actually, that I've come from sort of that to this in basically a week and a half, which is amazing, really. Now, I didn't sleep at all that night. Day 3, I slept sort of on and off for most of the day, and that was a really bad pain day. I mean, that was severe. So day 4, at the lower part of my face became very swollen with lymphatic fluid. And I used, if you saw the last video, one of the things I bought from Amazon was a jade roller. Well, I don't know if it's jade, but you know, it's some sort of stone. I kept it in the fridge, and that was really handy for sort of rolling here and just under the chin, trying to get the lymphatic glands to drain. They're called lymphatic glands. Anyway, you know what I mean. Oh, another thing I meant to say is I'm doing this on the fly, so this won't be edited. So, you know, this is me stumbling over my lines as usual. So, okay, day 4, lower part of my face, swollen lymphatic fluid, use a jade roller, and thankfully my eyes were slightly less swollen because they really, I could sort of half open them and they were really sore. I thought I'd gone over the worst on the 3rd day, because apparently that's the worst day, but day 5 for me was just awful, absolutely awful. One of the weird things was that my teeth started hurting, and the inside of my mouth and my upper lip were really swollen. And this is still swollen here, you know, the filtrum between the bottom of my nose and the top of your lip is sort of elongated at the moment because it's, you know, it's swollen and numb here. I still can't feel my top lip. So that was day 5, and I was looking pretty rough. Now, day 6, which is here, it looks like I've smudged it. I've actually got lip gloss on it. It looks like I've smudged it all over my top lip, but I hadn't. It was just really red and swollen. And my left eye was incredibly sore for some reason that day. I don't know why. But I was still looking very jowly, and yeah, the bruise into the bottom part of my face is really strange because it wasn't very noticeable until it turned yellow, you know, which is in the later stage of bruising. Found that really odd. Okay, so day 7, which is the Monday, so basically a week after my surgery, the redness above my top lip had gone and I was slightly less jowly. And I was looking forward to having my cast off the next day, but I was also a little bit apprehensive because I knew that taking out those internal splints was really going to hurt. And those internal splints were so weird. They were really long. They were about this long. And they were like, you know when you get the stick left from an ice lolly? They were that sort of shape and almost as long. Made out of a sort of white plastic, and on the side of them was the straw, so it was a sort of an all-in-one splint with a, you know, a straw on the side of it like that. This was how I looked on the Monday, the day before the cast was coming off and everything else. And I think I slept for about 3 hours because it was a 10:15 appointment, which is pretty early for me. I mean, I'm not a morning person, as you know. Now, seriously, taking the internal splints out of my nose, I was talking to him indoors about this earlier, and I was saying how I was screaming silently inside, and he said, no, you weren't actually. And I said, are you sure? He said, well, yeah, I could pretty much hear you. And I thought, oh God. The nurse probably thought I was a total wuzzer, but tell you what, those things coming out of my nose were just like, oh, horrendous, just horrible. And it was also horrible having the stitches that were sort of halfway up my nose inside taken out as well. I've still got quite a lot of stitches around here, but these are soluble ones. And now after that, taking the cast off was pretty much a walk in the park. I mean, I hardly felt anything. And Scott quickly got out his phone and took a photo of my nose and showed it to me. And I just thought, wow, that is incredible. And the other thing that was really weird was by the time the nurse had, by the way, the nurse there, Rayleigh, is just fabulous. So shout out to her and all of Dr. Shahidi's team. Love them to pieces, they're all great. But yeah, by the time she'd given me the mirror, as soon as the cast comes off, your nose, which is wanting to swell up, you know, for the last week, starts blowing up like a balloon, and it was really, really weird. I think, you know, if you're not used to surgery, or, you know, if you haven't really prepared yourself mentally for looking at something that you don't initially recognise as your face, it could be difficult. And I think if you're a lot younger as well, I must, yeah, look, I have to voice my opinion on this, because I think cosmetic surgery is entered into so lightly these days by younger women. And look, it's their choice. I'm not saying anybody should police it, but these are just my thoughts. And, or as Jacob would say, you know, just my opinion, not rooted in truth or facts, etc., etc. Yeah, I think it's become so normal now, you know, for young women, you know, who don't like their nose because it's a little bit bigger than they'd like it to be, or it's a little bit, you know, the tip's a bit droopy, or, you know, and they just don't think twice about it. They just say, oh, I'll have a nose job and put it right. And I don't know. I just think it's too easy. And I'm really pleased. I don't know if this applies anywhere else, but in Australia, you have to have a psych test before you're allowed to have surgery. And I think that's a good thing, because I think you need time to think about it, think what you're doing, and realise that what you're doing is permanent. You know, and like, if you want a tiny nose with tiny little nostrils, remember that if later down the track, when you have trouble breathing or anything, you know, it's going to be really difficult to make your nostrils bigger again. I mean, you know, however, that's just me being old probably. But so back to the nose. So yes, I think it'd been busting its boiler to get out of the cast, because it blew up like a balloon. It was, you know, really crazy. Anyway, as I said, there's a lot of swelling still here and down here, and the tip will drop as well, but a sort of a sideways view, if you can see that very clearly. You can see that. I love that. I just love the shape of my nose. I really do. I mean, you know, for it to be looking better than it was originally before it got all twisted is an added bonus as far as I'm concerned. But I certainly wouldn't have had it done if it was just because, you know, I thought my nose was a bit big or whatever. So, oh goodness, I'm rambling again. My apologies, I digressed greatly. So, I've been using my red light mask to help my skin heal. And on Monday, I'm going for a trial in a hyperbaric oxygen therapy chamber. Sorry, I just need to mop the drips a bit. every quarter. Okay, now these are the sort of decompression, it's like the decompression, say that, it's like the decompression chambers that, you know, divers have to go in to, you know, slowly sort of regulate the pressure. Dr. Shahidi highly recommended it, and I thought I'd give it a go because I'd really like to get, you know, my philtrum shortened slightly, and I would really like to do that before the end of this year if possible. And Dr. Shahidi thinks the beginning of next year, but if I do this oxygen therapy thing, it's going to heal a lot quicker, and I think I'll be able to get the final bit of the nose job sorted out. Anyway, I hadn't heard about this sort of treatment for, you know, after you had bone surgery and things like that. Anyway, hyperbaric oxygen therapy is a cutting-edge treatment that involves breathing pure oxygen in a pressurised environment. By increasing the atmospheric pressure and oxygen concentration, HBOT allows your body to absorb more oxygen than it would at normal pressure. This enhanced oxygen accelerates the healing process, promotes cellular regeneration, and helps the body recover from various injuries and conditions more efficiently. So my trial on Monday is to see if I can cope with, you know, it's a cubicle, thankfully, so you sit on a comfortable chair in there. It's not one of those sort of lie down ones, because that type I would not have been able to do. It would be like having an MRI. I mean, I have to have a general anaesthetic when I have an MRI because I can't cope with that. Oh, it's awful. Anyway, also this little chamber has got a window in, and they said that Scott can sort of sit outside the window so that I can see him. So I think it will make me feel better if him indoors is there. Yeah, and I'm really hoping that it helps my nose to heal quickly. And I'm hoping that I can cope with not just the small space, but the pressure on my ears, because I have severe tinnitus. For some people, they're actually using this as a treatment for tinnitus now. And it either really helps or it really doesn't. So fingers crossed that it really helps and it doesn't hurt my ears too much. What else do I want to say? Goodness, I seem to have rattled that off in no time at all. Anyway, my nose will apparently be fully healed and all the swelling will have gone down between 1 and 2 years, because it was quite a rebuild job. It takes a bit longer than normal. And I've obviously got to be careful that I don't knock my nose. I've been sleeping with my cast on, you know, to protect my nose in case I roll over in the night or something. But I found that because my nose is so swollen now at the top, that when I have the cast on it, it digs into the sides of my nose. And I think until I can talk to Dr. Shahidi on Monday about whether that's a good thing or not, I'm going to leave it off and just make sure that I've got my neck pillow on, and this, you know, this pillow, which is one of those, you know, sort of V-shaped pillows, so that I won't roll over onto my nose in the night. I think that's pretty much it, really. I mean, to be honest, last week was pretty shitty, to be honest. You know, it was really painful, and it was so much more painful than when I had the surgery on my nose before in 2016. But then, you know, this time it was more drastic, so, you know, it's going to hurt more. I'm just pleased that it's nearly all over and done with, you know, just the final bit to sort the philtrum out and all will be well. And yeah, just, oh goodness me, him indoors has just been an absolute rock. I mean, he has looked after me so gently and with so much care. I can't even begin to tell you. That guy is just, you know, 1 in a million, and I just feel so lucky. I'm so damn lucky to have met him. I mean, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I was married twice before I met Scott, so Scott's my third marriage, third time lucky, or 3 times a charm, whatever the saying is. And wow, you know, how lucky am I really? And also how lucky to be able to have this surgery when I needed it. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people in third world countries have problems with deviated septums, broken noses, etc., all the rest of it, but can't have it sorted out like I have. And, you know, that niggles me a bit, because sometimes, I don't know, I don't know if any of you guys feel like this, but sometimes I feel sort of overprivileged. You know, like I have too much opportunity to, you know, to sort health problems out, you know, to pay my bills, to be, you know, comfortable, you know, to buy the odd bag here and there, she said. Talking of buying bags here and there, I'm becoming totally superficial again, my apologies. I might have just bought a few things while I was sort of recovering last week. Nothing major, I mean, nothing like, you know, nothing like Chanel bags or anything like that. They're much smaller, you know, reasonably priced things. And if I feel up to it on Tuesday, I might do a small haul for you, because some of the things I bought are really, really nice, and they didn't cost a lot of money, which is even better, isn't it? Anyway, I think I probably said enough for one evening, but before I, you know, sign off, I would just like to say again, thank you so much for your lovely comments, your kind comments. I'm absolutely bowled over with you guys. The support has been amazing, and it has really, really helped. And another person I'd really like to thank is Grace, who sent me those beautiful flowers that are on my Instagram. I'll put that photo here actually, so you guys can see them. Grace, I think you'll probably be watching this, so I just want to say thank you so much. You are such a thoughtful and considerate person. I just, you know, I wasn't expecting that at all. I really wasn't. Yeah, I don't know, I've just appreciated you guys so much through all of this. I mean, I don't have many friends locally, because we've sort of moved around quite a lot, and, you know, most of my friends are scattered over Europe or in the UK, apart from my bestie here, Kath, who, you know, I was talking about in the previous video, who is just the best. Oh, and also, getting back to Grace, Grace Loves Fashion, you know, her YouTube channel is brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and I'll put the details for that in the description box. In the description box. I always have trouble saying that word. It's weird, isn't it? Because she does great videos, and there are some amazing travel vlogs that she's done recently on a trip to China, which are really interesting. And yeah, do please subscribe to her channel. She is a lovely person, and also she's a dancer, so she's, you know, doubly fabulous, and she's a really good dancer too. Talking of subscribing, if you enjoyed this video or any of my other videos and you haven't subscribed yet, I'd really appreciate it if you would. It would help support my channel. And if you have subscribed, thank you. It means a lot to me. So I think I'll stop it there and hopefully be back on Tuesday with a bit of a haul for you. As always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening to this slightly weird sounding nasal voice. And as always, à bientôt mes amis, au revoir et bonsoir.